Let's waste more money because we got to put it somewhere. Let's not give it to the athletes.
On today's Throwdown Thursday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis discuss the NCAA Transformation Committee recommendations, share their thoughts on the NCAA Summer Basketball Evaluation Period, as well as talk about random stories that caught Dr. Adams' eye, including a possible mascot name change at George Washington University. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, again by special request from my high school teammate, Riley Inge, the Brutus Beefcake to my Greg the Hammer Valentine in the Dream Team, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, I'm trying not to say his nickname off the top of my head, but Riley's a big fan of old WWF, and he loved the Dream Team. And as I said on Tuesday, Sharosco wanted Arn and Tully. Riley said, man, give me some of that Dream Team with Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine. How are you doing today? And again, happy Father's Day week, because we're going to celebrate all week, sir.
Man, happy Father's Day week. And that guy, Brutus Beefcake, is a good dude, man. I told you I had him and Greg Valentine. Whew. Them lemon drop shots was a monster, boy, messing with them boys.
All right. On today's show, we're going to educate the audience. We're going to talk about the NCAA Transformation Committee. We're going to talk about summer basketball evaluations, as well as just a bunch of stories that have just come across that I want my partner and I to react to. But in segment one, the NCAA Transformation Committee. So the NCAA Transformation Committee's goal is to meaningfully improve the experience for student athletes who play Division I each year, both those who compete in front of national audiences and those who do not. How will they measure success, Mike? Whether it supports opportunities for today's student athlete and ensures continued excellence in intercollegiate athletics. So let me tell you who's on the committee, because we are always, and I want your admin hat on this entire segment, we always talk about who's at the table making decisions. So here are the committee members. They have 6 ADs, and the ADs come from the Big Ten, Mid-American Conference, Pac-12, Big 12, and AAC, the American. You have 4 conference commissioners. You have SEC, ACC, Ivy League, and West Coast Conference. You got 2 faculty athletic representatives, one from the Pac-12, one from the Missouri Valley. You have 1 former student athlete from the Mountain West Conference. And you have 6 college presidents, one from the SEC, Big 12, ACC, MEAC, Summit, and Big East. The Transformation Committee will develop a set of Division I commitments, regulations, and membership obligations that directly respond to a set of issues that continually challenge the division. We'll talk about those issues shortly, but Mike, any thoughts on the breakdown of the committee members in terms of who's a part of the Transformation Committee?
I'm not sure what the one former student athlete from the Mountain West Conference has to do with this, or even involved. Maybe this where the Mannings should be. Maybe put one of them in there. They're everywhere else. But yeah, it's good to see though. And if you see the conference commissioners, SEC, ACC, Ivy, I don't even know why the Ivy League's in there. Who's transferring out of the Ivy League?
Don't you want full representation at the table?
I'm not saying I don't want full representation, but what can they bring to a transfer like committee? What can they bring to a
Well, it's
transfer committee?
called transformation, and here are the things they are trying to transform. They're doing research on membership. They're doing and when we say membership fans, we mean a model for a new or enhanced membership obligations requirements, including the appropriateness of a new subdivision, division, or even differently defined categories of institutions. That's what they mean by membership. They want to talk about governance. They want to change governance, a model for a new Division One governance process that may include a different approach to leadership and independence in the decision-making process. They want to change the student athlete experience, a model for enhanced Division One student athlete experience, academics, health and safety, well-being, including an examination of enhanced support for student athletes, regulatory structure, a regulatory structure that focuses on distinguishing those rules determined at the divisional level versus those best administered by the campus level or the conference level, and how enforcement and infraction will work, as well as an impact of direct financial support to student athletes in terms of determining the extent to which an institution's direct financial aid allocation can support student athletes. So they are meeting to make these recommendations.
Can I
So they
sum up
have,
what you just said?
please do, sir.
Let's look like we doing some shit.
Mike, they're trying.
There's the way some no, they ain't trying. They posing. Let's look like we doing some shit and we really care of all this money we getting from these folks. All right, and let's waste more money because we got to put it somewhere. Let's not give it to the athletes. This is another
Well,
conference, probably a weekend conference in a big hotel, food, meals, all that. Nah, man. Uh-uh.
all right.
Waste
So
of time. Waste of time.
the recommendations. The transformation committee agreed on a set of recommendations. It will forward to the Division One Board of Directors for review and approval. The recommendations represent an important and appropriate first step towards transforming Division One athletics and better supporting the sustainability of college sports.
Keyword sustainability. We gotta
Among the
keep this money
recommendations,
coming in. We gotta keep this money coming in. Go ahead, finish.
among the
I got subtitles.
recommendations are adjustments to the transfer rules and updates to the infraction process.
Mm.
So let me give the transfer recommendations. So the goal of the transformation committee is intended to stabilize the transfer environment. That's what the goal is. And the requirements would require additional accountability for schools that receive transfer students and provide student athletes with a window of time to enter the transfer portal each year in order to be eligible to compete the following year. What is your thought on that recommendation of the transformation committee, sir?
The transformation committee was created for solely for this reason, in my opinion. I mean, that's we know. Oh, the student experience and all. Those are all big words to say. Hey, too many of y'all jumping up out of here, going from school to school. We got to figure out how we can keep y'all in one place and not have to go through this madness, and then have our guys like Nick Saban losing his mind and saying shit he shouldn't be saying. That's what this is all about. And I still don't see what the Ivy League has in. What I'm,
Still got his needle on the ass.
I'm still. I'm.
Okay. We want inclusive. Okay. And the infraction process recommendation. Some of the changes to the infraction process would include incentivizing cooperation of all parties, additional investigative tools, and more flexibility within confidentiality rules. What do you think about the infraction process recommendations, sir? And their recommendations.
Infraction process. Come on. So there's something, man. Ooh, investigative tools, additional investigative tools. Come on, man. Stop. Stop, man.
It's
Just
happening whether we want
it's too
things to happen.
much.
These are the recommendations that
Yeah.
are going to be voted on. So the
So what
next
are they gonna do?
steps,
So what are they gonna do? Give you more investigative tools, more flexibility,
I
like
really
with confidentiality. How can you do that?
I really don't know how this is going to be measured and monitored. That's not
Thank
what this
you.
conversation is about.
But
The
still, it's
conversation
just a
is
lot of
about
words.
saying what the recommendations are.
Man, it's a
Notice there's
lot
no
of words
action.
that don't mean nothing. That's what it is, man. Talking loud and saying nothing, man. Come on, man.
Oh
Sing.
boy.
Sing the song.
You're like a dull knife, Jack. Just ain't cut.
Just ain't
Talking
cutting.
loud, saying nothing. All right. So here are the next steps. The board will review these recommendations at its June 30th meeting. That's going to happen. If it supports them, it will then be sent to the Division One Council for feedback. I said put your admin hat on the whole segment, and you haven't had your admin hat on. All right. So they're going to get feedback during the July 20th meeting. And then the board's vote to approve the recommendation will occur at its August 3rd meeting, admin. Now the committee will focus on student athlete benefits and minimum expectations for all Division One members. The transformation committee is co-chaired by Greg Sankey, Southeast Conference Commissioner, and Julie Cromer, athletic director at Ohio University. So now that you hopefully have your admin hat on, you see it's a 3 meeting process and see what happens there. Meanwhile, the transformation committee is moving on to its other items. What say you, sir, before we move on to the next topic?
I, 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 I just can't get my head around all of this. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck in the Ivy League and the MEAC being in
That's
a
me
part
and
of this.
Draymond last week. What do you mean he does a podcast after the game? That's
After the
two
game,
segments.
that's what you said. After the game, like yeah, but yeah, I just can't. It's just a lot, man. It's too much. I think. And I think it's too late though. I think this stuff should have been seriously though. These things should have should have been planned out a little better ahead of time.
Purposeful planning is what we like to say.
But I think what happened was the fact that the federal government had to come in and make these things happen that make the NCAA say, "Oh, we need to take a look at this," and that's the sad part about it. And they've been doing these student athletes wrong for so long that it's a shame that it had to come down to this. But I wish the best for the student athletes. Two things: one, we always say, get the bag.
Get it?
So if you can get the bag, get the bag, and if this makes the experience better, like reduces the amount of practices, yeah, and because college athletes, college athletics is a job. They up 5 in the morning till whatever, which is okay. But how do you make that experience better? I'm just trying to figure it out because then you possibly lose the uh, the uh, the good product that you have that you're able to sell to everyone. So if the
Mm-hmm.
kids aren't practicing as much and they're not as putting as much into it, how's the product on the field? How's the product on the court? Like, what do you do? So I just felt like it was always some crazy rules anyway. You can't work with this kid. You can't talk to this. But like, some things need to be changed that maybe kids wouldn't want to leave college. They never thought about that. You never asked that question. Like, kids don't have a college experience in order to want to stay there.
All right. So the last part of this segment, the NIL Summit takeaways. I am trying to go next year to the NIL Summit and cover it from the OCP's perspective and CKA. But this is information from ESPN, who was there. So the background. So at the College Football Hall of Fame, hundreds of college athletes met with corporate executive influencers and startups for an NIL summit hosted by NIL content platform INFLCR. And I'm glad they did it. So you had Meta talking about investing in college athletics. You had Triple H there announcing partnerships, which I think is great. And I saw AJ mention that as well. And he would have tore that thing up when he was in college, and I'm sure he'd have made a boatload of loot. So here are some takeaways, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. And this is from ESPN covering the NIL um, summit, and we will have some NIL folks on midwinter who's doing a great job. Former student athlete William and Mary. We're going to try to have him on for Find the Balance Friday
Hmm.
sometime this summer. And again, he's a great follow too. Lots of athletes have value, and I am sad that that was a
Yes.
takeaway. That's what I'm sad at because
Hmm.
I already knew that, and I didn't need the summit to let people know that lots of athletes from all over the place have different value. But that was a takeaway for ESPN. Another takeaway, it's hard to know what the market value is. That's basic business, that's basic economics. And student athletes, please take business and economics in high school. Forget waiting till college. Take a business class, take an econ class, take an
Hmm.
accounting and finance class, take entrepreneurship. This is how you learn the basics, the fundamentals on how this works as a former entrepreneurship teacher. So yeah, market value, the market has a way, Mike, of correcting itself.
Right.
And it's not very polite either. How's those cassette tapes working? Anybody going to Blockbuster Video? The market did that.
Mm-hmm.
All of those folks who thought Netflix was this, that, and the other, now, like we were just talking about musical artists. I don't know how you make money if you're in music now because you have to tour. That
Yeah.
money's,
That's the
but
way it always was, though.
nobody's buying anything. They're downloading it. So the market will correct itself. So another takeaway: the schools are not offering nearly enough help. Well, the odd coaches have been on for 1 year, and I swear we have screamed to the mountaintops, help, and we tell this about everything. So more help is needed. I'm glad my research, kind of set the tone for this. Um, Four, collectives aren't all bad, but some are. Wait a second, there's bad actors and people also trying to help. I needed a summit for you to say some of y'all are doing it for the right reason. Some of y'all are trying to get over. This is not new news, and we are in a transition period. That was the biggest takeaway that I saw, is the fact that it's being acknowledged that you have to embrace these changes. And NIL, transfer portal, uh, student athlete rights, and recruiting, and all of that. We are in a changing time, and you're seeing a lot of the old guard leave in coaching in all different sports, and you're seeing new folks come in. So I'm very excited about watching Notre Dame football. I'm excited to see what Lincoln Riley's going to do at USC because he's embracing these things. I'm very excited to see what Jimbo and Nick are going to do in terms of, I got talent now, but will I still get the talent?
Mm.
So we're going to stop this segment, folks, and we'll be back after a brief break.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. And in segment 2, we're going to talk about the evaluation period. And it's funny how all of this stuff interacts, right? So what is an evaluation period? So let's educate our fans. An evaluation period is that period of time when it's permissible for authorized athletic department staff members to be involved in off-campus activities designed to assess the academic qualifications and playing ability of prospective student athletes. No in-person off-campus recruiting contact shall be made with the prospective student athlete during an evaluation period. So, why is this important? And I wanted to tag off to my partner, Coach Francis, as somebody that has coached high school, college basketball, and been a football person, and have been a parent of a highly touted student athlete. Can you talk about the importance of this time period? And also, man, throw in your time with the hoop group as well, because you were the person who helped set up evaluation talent as well. So
Hmm.
the floor is yours, sir. Talk about the importance of evaluation periods.
I think it's very important for the evaluation period because two things. Number one, I don't want to see what you do against the worst team in your little league in your little county. I don't care. Ain't not one college coach you can recruit one of my players ask me how my kids did against Northeast, you know, or against schools like a school that we're going to beat by 30 or 40 points. They're not going to do that. And no offense to Northeast. Shout out Roger, who's really turned the program around. Um,
This is
uh,
business.
yeah, he has turned the program around. Won a county championship a couple years ago. So shout out to Roger. Um, I need to see what you do against other players that I'm recruiting or at that level. I need to see that. That's the most important thing. A coach gets a weekend to evaluate you, your ups, your downs. I got to see you play at least 4 or 5 times. I got to take your best, your worst, and then somewhere in between find out where you might project when it comes to the next level. So I got to see you at least 4 to 5 times. That's the way that I've always done it. When I was at Essex, I got to see a guy 4 or 5 times. And whether it be AAU event, some of them, depending on the AAU event, I wouldn't go in to see them play down in Bowie Complex where they're not, the talent is not going to be the same. I want to see you at an event with a lot of talent, and I want to see how you react to that. Or if I know you played in a very good league, like if I was recruiting a kid from Baltimore County, I was fortunate. We got Player of the Year in Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, Prince George County, Wilmington, Delaware, York, PA. We were able to get the Player of the Year from these conferences and from these little leagues, which was good, and because their leagues were tough. If I can get a kid from, East Baltimore, I'm definitely going to be successful. But I had to evaluate them. And like when you go to the rec and they playing against top notch athletes and some NBA guys come back in and play with them and they let you in. There's only a few guys that they let in to watch certain events. So uh, you have to be able to have this evaluation period. Now, parents, you got to do what you got to do to get your kids to that evaluation period. And my time at the hoop group, and I still sell the hoop group, is this: you're not going to go anywhere and play as much against better competition in that 3 to 4 day period and get an honest evaluation. I was a commissioner of the Super Sophomore League, the Fab Frost Super Sophomore, which was the top ninth and 10th grade kids in the country, some eighth grade kids. Josh Selby, when he was eighth grade, I put him up
Mm.
in that league because he was that dominant. I mean, he was scoring 40, 50 points a game in the eighth grade league. So really wasn't nobody else doing nothing. So we had to get him out and put him up. I've been fortunate to see a lot of high school talent, top notch high school talent working for the hoop group, going back to Carmelo Anthony in high school, doing the top 100s. And being a commissioner, I was in charge of 10 to 15 teams with 10 kids, and you're talking about 150 kids, best kids in the nation. So that's how I cut my teeth and had made a lot of connections with a lot of coaches now, guys who are head coaches who used to be players. Kimmy English, when he was with Cecil Kirk, I had his nephew, and we had those evaluation periods as well. So
So evaluation periods are important. And the summer evaluation periods are going on right now in June 2022, June 17th at noon to June 19th at 6 o'clock. That's an evaluation period. June 24th, noon to June 26th, 6 p.m. It's an evaluation period. And a note for the June evaluation period, this is for scholastic events approved by the NCAA and the National Federation of High Schools, and intercollegiate athletic events approved by applicable 2-year college governing bodies. In July, the summer evaluation period is July 6th to July 10th. Same thing, noon to 6, and July 20th to July 24th, noon to 6. And that evaluation period is NCAA certified events, institutional camps, and permissible governing body events. So I give you that information, fans, because we're based out of the state of Maryland, and the state of Maryland has a problem. The MPSSAA, which is the State Board of Athletics, does not currently allow public high schools to participate in these events due to current Maryland state law. The Code of Maryland Regulations, which is referred to as COMAR, is the uh, official body who makes these rules. Um, there is a change to COMAR regulation that is out there, fans, but has not been voted on yet. Remember, Maryland residents, this is an election year. And according to my sources, it is anticipated to be approved for next school year. But as Mike said, they are playing games now. And fans, for this show, I want to give you the formal citation here. The MPSSAA has approved language to allow this in terms of state public schools playing in events, and they did this in December. However, athletic regulations are state law, and they take time and process to change. This process is almost complete, but unfortunately, it was not complete in time for this year's showcases. I say that because a lot of folks are mad, and rightfully so. And one of the folks that are mad is the gentleman Coach Franchise just mentioned, Coach Kim English. So Kim English is now the head coach at George Mason University, and he is a proud product of Maryland Public Schools. And he expressed the fact that this is shameful and college scholarships are handed out and the decision makers at MPSSAA are denying kids opportunities. And as somebody who's a former athletic director, I have to just say, hey, look, again, stuff's on the books, but it has to be voted on. And Coach Franchise is now working on being an administrator. Does anything happen quickly? No.
Hell no.
And that's the problem. Other college coaches, I had the opportunity because I went out and I asked them. So all of this is off the record because people trust us. And I appreciate that people trust us in terms of we're not loud, we're not screaming, we're not hollering. We're going to do the homework, we're going to do the research, and we're going to give you the best information we can. And then you're an educated consumer. So three different college coaches, all on the Division I level at multiple different areas, said the following: it's a missed opportunity for kids to be seen. It hurts kids not to be seen. But Keith, there aren't many D1 kids in Maryland right now, but they should be able to play. But let's not get it twisted. Right now, this class is not the best class in terms of overall talent. And that's another debate for another time. But all coaches said, but we need to see them anyway for us to make that final evaluation. Public school coaches, I've reached out to them, and we're talking about Maryland public school coaches. Um, One public school coach said to me, we have potential scholarship players who cannot be seen, which makes it hard to keep them in public schools. And another one says, it says to them, to the kids, that we're not good enough to provide for. And it's
Hmm?
one of the things you talk about is it wasn't a priority for you as the state legislators to make this happen. And it's an election year, fans. So please keep that in mind. Because again, as I said, it's on the desk, it's ready to go. It just wasn't done in time for it to happen.
Hmm.
So we talked to some private school coaches, and we won't use names again. People trust us. And they spoke very freely. And I can't use the language. Mike could, but let's just say it's blank and terrible because it kills any potential scholarship kids
Yep.
because a lot of the private school coaches, Mike, are former public school people.
Hmm.
And as we have had private conversations, it's not that we don't love public schools, but this is a business. And I'm in the business of helping kids. And if you get in the way of me helping kids and somebody else offers us an opportunity to help kids, we're going to take advantage of that opportunity. And
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why Dr. Adams is not coaching through CKA, but we're going to bring in people moving forward after July 1st to do just that, to help with no restrictions or barriers. And that's helping kids across the country, not just in the area. Another private school coach, when I asked, is this a big deal? He said, Keith, it's a big deal. It really hurts. And this was the best one, Mike. And fans, I want you to take note of this as you move forward with your own whatever you're doing. Kids look different when they play with their high school teams
Yes.
versus their AAU teams
Yeah.
because they're asked to do different things. So the college coach is able to see different skill sets.
Yes.
If they were allowed to play now in June, as you said, I got to see you play multiple times. I got to see you play with your high school team. And in that team, your role is to score and be this and be that and so forth. Okay, because that talent is not comparable. 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I see you as a complementary piece with your AAU team where you're maybe the third scorer and a defensive stopper because that's what you're being asked to do. Because
Mhm.
most people are not difference makers, they're role players. And
Yeah.
that's why a difference maker is a difference maker and not a role player. So I wanted to share that. And I also had a chance to talk to some athletic directors before I get your thoughts. One athletic director said, and I thought it was just as plainly put as possible, we need to embrace this. We need to sanction it. We need control. We need to control it. We need to pay for it. And I thought that was extremely powerful. And one athletic director, which I respect a great deal, said people need to stop complaining and do their research. Athletic directors are getting ripped in social media.
Yes, they are.
Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And it's not our fault as athletic directors. It's a state rule that we've gone through the process and now we have moved the process to the next step and the next step hasn't been done. Mike, I'm giving you the last word to close out this segment because you live in it.
Mm.
You live in it. Um, and hopefully my internet stays up. So what do you think, sir?
I think that what the biggest thing that people they miss in this is what you said about coaches being able to see kids do different things. I'll go back to 1991. Uh, when I first started coaching AAU and rec ball, I used to go to play in. We would coach in Baltimore, and I was fortunate to be able to coach a lot of great players because we would have the 19 under junior men's team. Nobody ever had a 19 and under team. Shout out Gerald Moore for bringing me on. And I'm telling you that all Met team in Baltimore, from the Baltimore Sun all Met team, it was Michael Lloyd, it was Cyrus Jones, Bernard Hopkins. Like, we had a lot of these guys, Damon Cason, Keith Booth. Those guys played on our AAU team, you know? So having them guys, you learn. But then we had this guy that no one knew about. His name was Scooter Alexander. Scooter played at Dunbar with those teams, the 1990 team. He played at Dunbar in 1991. Um, but they had Paul Banks and they had all these other guys. They had Michael Lloyd, who were point guards. So when Scooter came to us, he was being recruited as a point guard from Towson. He ended up going to Towson. Terrence Alexander went to Towson. So he played point guard for us in AAU. He started getting notoriety. His own teammates, I never forget, Michael Lloyd telling us, like, yo, I ain't know you could dribble. Yo, I ain't know you had that. Because the team was so loaded, he didn't have to do any. I mean, the team was loaded, he had to do a lot. But he literally took on the point guard role for us, and his own teammates from Dunbar High School and the whole dudes in the city, they was like, man, who is that? Like, everybody in the city didn't even know Scooter had the skills he had, because for his team he had to be one person, and he ended up, showing other skills, man, that he really had, and he ended up playing at Towson. Never forget it. And that's what people don't understand when it comes to being seen on the AAU too, like and seen in the season during these evaluation period. They were able to evaluate him, and he ended up playing at Towson.
All right. So, again, thanks, my partner, for sharing your knowledge. Knowledge is to be shared with our audience. Evaluation periods are very important. However, fans, I'm still Dr. Adams, and no scholarship, if ever offered, can be accepted if you do not gain admittance into the college who's looking at you. So, this is yet another plug for allow us the ability to assess you academically in terms of CKA, allow us to measure and monitor your academic progress, because what gets measured and monitored gets done, and deadlines spur actions. And if we measure and monitor your grades 3 to 4 times a semester, we hope to increase your ability to maximize your academic opportunities. And also, we crave our independence as consultants. So a lot of times our advice is going to be different than what you heard. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but it's something else to think about as you go through your decision making process. So we wish all of the players good luck during the evaluation period. We hope the state of Maryland votes on this. So this is the last year that public schools can't be a part of these events. Players who are in Maryland public schools, keep working hard, keep grinding, keep conditioning, because July will be here and you'll have some opportunities to outplay people who they know. So use it as fuel, use it as motivation. And with that, we'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project's book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success, is now available for purchase. The book serves as both a memoir of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes numerous personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues, including former George Mason standout Follering Campbell. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we're going to pause on the college football preview because there was just a lot of stories this week, Mike, that just crossed my path. And I'm like, that's what I want to talk to Mike about. So the first one, this is not good. Canisius College basketball recruit Sarion McGee was denied bail this past week, 5 days after campus police arrested him for having, wait for it, 2 handguns, a shotgun, and numerous high-capacity magazines outside the school's indoor athletic complex. Questioning why McGee needed these 3 guns and hundreds of bullets to go play basketball, the judge declined his grant him bail. The 23-year-old was arrested Saturday, a day after arriving in Buffalo, and he faced 15 weapons charges, and each of these have a maximum of 15 years in prison. His arrest comes in the wake of numerous mass shootings around the country, including one near Canisius' campus, which is a little more than a mile from the school's campus. So I want to know how we got here. A campus police officer was checking cars parked illegally. And when he was checking the car, he saw that a high capacity 22 caliber magazine was in the passenger seat of McKee's car. Yeah, he had it in the passenger seat, Mike. He told officers that he was carrying 2 loaded handguns and additional magazines in his fanny pack, according to court documents. Police eventually found more loaded magazines stored in his glove box and a 12-gauge shotgun in the trunk of his car. His attorney told the judge that the guns and ammunitions were purchased legally in Wisconsin and Illinois, which we've heard from others in situations. And he said that McGee just arrived in Buffalo and had all of his possessions in his car and had yet to found a place to live. Um, McGee brought the guns for protection because he previously grew up and lived in dangerous neighborhoods. Uh, and he also noted the recent supermarket shooting near Canisius. Mike, what does Coach Franchise do with all of this information?
How do you need all them guns again? He said he was moving and he couldn't find a place to live.
Yeah, he had just got there and he had all of his stuff in the car, and it's dangerous, and he needed the guns for his protection, according to police reports. And he's a new recruit. He just got to town. Stopped at the gym, play pickup. Ain't that good? Stop gym, want to get some shots up, want to get a run in. I don't write this stuff, man. That's why
Why
it
didn't he
interests
go
me.
to the damn? Why didn't he go to the damn shooting range then?
Man. So does he keep his scholarship?
Of course he will.
Because he's legally, it's just this is bad judgment, isn't it? That's it. Has there been a crime committed if it's legally purchased? But you probably shouldn't leave it in the passenger seat and park
Uh,
illegally. You
yeah,
probably,
yeah,
first of all, don't park illegally. And then
yeah.
second of all, don't park illegally with this type of paraphernalia in the passenger seat.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, man. All right, we're going to move on to Davidson. Davidson announced a couple of things with Davidson in the news. Good for Davidson this week. Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry is going to finally have his number retired. And he couldn't have his number retired because he didn't graduate yet. I like people with standards. So they said, we love you, but if you want your number hanging in the rafters, go ahead and get that degree. And Steph graduated with a Bachelor of Arts with a major in sociology. So it wasn't communication. So I'll take that. Or interdisciplinary studies. Um, and also, Bob McKillop is retiring after 33 years as Davidson's coach. He won 15 regular season championships, made the NCAA tournament 10 times, won more than 600 games, led Davidson to 13 division titles, 7 conference tournament titles in the Southern Conference. Then they moved up to the A10, and he won that too. Man, go Davidson, man. Go
Mm.
Davidson. Any thoughts on that? Making Steph get that degree, by the way. Go
I
ahead.
think that's good though. I think that maybe more schools should take that approach. That's
Have
really
some
good.
standards, man. Have some
Yeah,
standards.
have some standards. I think he did it the right way. I was glad he has his degree. He's one of the top players of all time, leading one of the top programs. As far as he had some of the greatest college performances. Now he's had some of the greatest NBA performances, and he's a college graduate. Like I can't, you know,
That's a good time had by all.
right?
So, Coach, is UConn the new normal? Is UConn the new normal? UConn men's basketball program has landed its 4th transfer of the offseason in Joey Calcaterra, a 6'3" guard who played 4 years for San Diego. This guy scored over 800 points in his career, shot 36% from three, and he'll play as a graduate transfer, taking advantage of the extra year of eligibility
Hmm.
offered to NCAA athletes affected by COVID. He joins Tristan Nixon from East Carolina, Naheem Allen from Virginia Tech, Hassan Diarra from Texas A&M, who also transferred to UConn this spring, and they replace former Huskies who all entered the transfer portal. So 3 Huskies left, and they brought in 4 new transfers, um, and they lost 2 guys to um, trying to be professional basketball players. So looking at UConn's class, and it doesn't mention anything about any, traditional freshmen. Is this the new normal?
I, we just had coach on and we was talking about how things get log jammed and the way things are going, and it's hard to judge if it's the new normal or the way it's going to, remain. Is this program like It's UConn, right?
Yeah, it's UConn.
Still
Still
UConn.
UConn.
Still UConn. So I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, and fans, tune in to our Find the Balance Friday edition. We had Coach Bruce Kelly, head coach at the Bullis School of Potomac, Maryland, one of the best private schools in the Mid-Atlantic region. And we talk a little bit about the current recruitment, and there's a lot of movement, but I'm sure the market will take care of itself in a couple of years. Let's move on to the SEC Big 12 Challenge, and this is men's college basketball. The leagues announced this past week the 10 matchups set up for Saturday, January 10th. I'm sorry, January 28th, 2023. So these are 10 games that are going to be played. Tell me, Mike, which games you think we might follow a little closely. Kentucky will host Kansas. What do you think about that one? We gonna watch that one?
Possibly. I'm trying to think who's going to be like.
Calipari got like juniors this year.
Oh my God! Like I, which is if he has more than two, right?
Is
Like,
Kansas going to be on probation at that time?
oh hell no! They'll put somebody else on probation. Kansas won a damn national championship on probation. What the hell are you talking about?
Sorry about that. Okay. Baylor is hosting Arkansas. I like Arkansas's coach. They're going to play. Alabama at Oklahoma. Stop me when you care. Auburn, Auburn at West Virginia.
Keep going.
All right. Florida at Kansas State. Shout out Dr. Lisa Rubin. We love
I,
you at Kansas State.
I love Auburn and West Virginia because of the coaches. I might go shit. I might try to go to that one.
No, yeah, that ain't too far. Maybe
Think
Billy
about it.
Hahn
That's a
can help us out.
that's a meter. That's a F word meter right there between Bruce Pearl
All right,
and Huggy.
Texas Tech at LSU.
I ain't worried about that one.
Ole Miss at Oklahoma State. TCU at Mississippi State. I think that's going to be on ESPN 6.
Football. Football,
Iowa
right?
State at Missouri
Football.
and Texas at Tennessee. I might
That
watch
might be
Texas
worth it.
Tennessee.
That might be worth a good one.
All right, our last story of the day. I don't know how my partner's going to react to this one. And we like George Washington. Niece Jasmine, correspondent of the show, graduated there. And obviously, Chris Caputo just got the job. And my former player, Brendan Strawn, is one
Shout
of his
out.
assistants. Love all of them. But George Washington University coach is dropping the name Colonials. It can no longer serve its purpose as a name that unifies campus, according to a school press release.
Hmm.
The school has used the nickname since 1926. GW will keep using Colonials until a new name is introduced, and that is expected by the 23-24 academic year. According to an online statement from the university, the committee committees the committee determined that supporters of the colonial moniker view it as referring to those who lived in the American colonies, especially those who fought for independence and democracy, while opponents see the term referring to colonizers who stole land and resources from the indigenous groups, killed or exiled Native Americans, and introduced slavery to the colonies.
Mm,
So,
mm,
Mike, knowing that,
mm.
I have family who graduated from there and we both have friends who work there, is this a good move or what are you thinking?
That came out of left field.
It did.
Yeah, that came out of left field somewhere. I didn't even know that.
Because they're not changing the name George Washington.
Right, exactly. And
Uh,
so
I don't want to
what's
put my history degree out there, but
exactly what is George like? Did you do the research on the George
I have
Washington?
been to Mount Vernon and saw
Yes,
some
sir.
quarters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's
Well,
crazy.
I don't have any like names like off the top of my head. Um, But
Commanders.
Okay, that will be a good time. So on behalf of my tag team partner who got us the heck out of this segment, Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time. Take care, Commanders.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.